Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome, everybody, to the House of the Unusual podcast. Once again, man, you know what it is. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky. With me, as always, is the maestro of mail order mysteries, Eddie Guevara. Today's returning guest is the amazing horror magician, Chuck Caputo. Gentlemen, welcome back, and thank you for joining us.
All right.
So before we get into our conversations today, because we always got some good ones up for people and always some interesting stuff. But first, we're going to hit up our friends of the show and just to let some people out there know what's going on, some different things that they might be interested in. So first off, we're going to start off with 1878press.com. That's Dave Haversat's website. Got tons of books on there about magic, mentalism, anything that you could think of dealing with that stuff. The history on it, how to do some of the magic, some mail order stuff. So that is 1878press.com. Go over and check it out and support our buddy Dave. All right. Also, we have... becoming one of my favorite comics to read is Stupid Comics magazine. If you guys haven't gotten an issue of this yet, you definitely have to pick it up. It is a mashup of The Far Side and Mad Magazine, man, all rolled into one, black and white pages, and it is absolutely hilarious. I know a bunch of us have picked up issues 0 through 4 and have nothing but good things to say about it. So head over to stupidcomicsmagazine.com. That's stupid spelled STOOPID. And go ahead and grab your issues. Get caught up because they are fantastic. And in issue number 4, on the final page, back cover, there is a huge advertisement for House of the Unusual, and it looks fantastic. So many thanks to the publishing people over at Stupid Comics Magazine for that. Also, if you were looking for some underwater sea monkey items, look no further than sea-monkeys.com. Our buddy Todd Machin and company got some serious sea monkey stuff going on there, man. They got the executive supersize suite. They've got some t-shirts. They've got x-ray glasses, starter sets. What else they got there? I tell you what was cool. What I wanted was the light up Ocean Zoo aquarium cover, so you could see your little sea monkeys at night, give them some light, see them going around. And I want to thank Todd for sending me a few kits because I was able to get them to my 2 nieces who are 2 and 5. And the last time I talked with my sister is that they have some sea monkeys swimming around in there, and they are super excited about it. So, that is their introduction to the world of sea monkeys, and they're loving it. So many thanks, Todd, for that. And I'm sure you have some lifelong returning customers. All right. Also, if you guys are on YouTube or not on YouTube, either way, man, head over to YouTube and check out our buddy Chuck Caputo and all his magic acts on there. He's under Sherry Caputo, and that's CHERI. Just type that into the search, Sherry Caputo, and you can see all Chuck's. Got tons of videos on there, updating them weekly, and I'm telling you, they're amazing. We always talk on here about the magic. Now you guys could go onto YouTube and actually see, the tricks that we're talking about. So, subscribe to his page there, like his videos. And then while you're on YouTube, type in House of the Unusual, subscribe to our page, and, check out some of the videos we have on there. Eddie's always putting up some interesting things. All right. So we also have, over on Etsy, type in Atomic Monster Magazine. It's a new independent magazine that just came out, was just published, made in the USA. It is 76 pages of blood-curdling color and horror. And, man, you're going to love it. I have a great article on there on the movie Equinox, along with a few other articles on some toys, and I don't want to spoil it too much, man. You got to check out the magazine, but head over to Etsy, type in Atomic Monster Magazine. Issue number 1 is now on sale. Also, mymoviemonsters.com. We have Scary Monsters number 123 is up for pre-order, coming out late September. I have a article in there on, oh man, what the heck is it? I can't even remember. Poltergeist, that's it. The movie Poltergeist.
Yeah.
So check it out, man. Scott Jackson did another great cover, and this one, just like last year's Halloween edition, it's a glow-in-the-dark cover, man. So you won't want to miss it. Head over to mymoviemonsters.com and pre-order your issue. You can also get it bagged and boarded for an extra $1. Not too bad, considering bags and boards are getting harder and harder to come by nowadays. All right, and also, if you guys are out there and you want to watch some classic horror and sci-fi movies and you don't want to pay for any of those streaming services, man, do I got the place for you. TheMonsterChannel.com. They have a 24-hour free streaming service of horror and sci-fi movies, serials, you name it. There's also a little chat that goes along with it. And on the bottom of the page there, they have a weekly guide so you can see what's on. Set your alarm for a movie that you want to watch, and they're always streaming. Support them. They're a small organization that they run on donations and help from fans like us. So that's all we got for the friends of the show. But man, I tell you what, something, Eddie, I was walking around the House of the Unusual. I wanted to check out the house, see the different rooms and all that, and I happened upon going down the basement, happened upon this door. And I said, where the heck does this lead to? I've been all around the House of the Unusual, and I know the house changes up a lot. Maybe Chuck Caputo's doing some, magic on it or something and changing it around on us, man. So I open up the door, man, and, the door creaks open a little bit. I start shivering and all that. I said, man, what is this? Is Eddie hiding down there ready to scare me or something? Or, is Chuck down there? Or maybe Todd's going to throw sea monkeys at me or something. And no, man, this was the Crypt of Classics. So this is our new segment, a new weekly segment, Crypt of Classics. If you listened to our podcast last week, we talked about it a little bit, that every week we are going to talk about real quick, just one classic movie, sci-fi, horror, a serial, whatnot, that you might want to watch. So if you're thinking about what you need to watch for the week or what you want to watch, maybe you have some kids and you guys can't figure out what to watch but want to watch a classic movie, hey, look no further than House of the Unusual, because we got you covered. So this week, man, I'm coming out of left field on this. People are probably thinking, is this going to be a Universal horror movie or some 1950s flying saucer classic? Nope. Let's see if you guys have ever heard of this. The Crimson Ghost.
Wow.
You guys remember the Crimson Ghost?
No, you got me.
No. Oh, man.
No.
Let me tell you about the Crimson Ghost. Now we'll discuss it real quick, because once I start talking about it, you guys will know exactly what the Crimson Ghost is. So it was released October 26, 1946, and is a Republic Pictures film serial directed by Fred C. Brandon and William Whitney. William Whitney's done tons of serial cliffhangers: Daredevils of the Red Circle, Zorro's Fighting Legions, Drums of Fu Manchu, just to name a few. But the 12-chapter serial stars Charles Quigley as Professor Duncan Richards, a criminologist who attempts to thwart the efforts of the Crimson Ghost and his diabolical schemes to steal the invention, the Cyclotrode X, that can render electrical devices powerless. So that means he could essentially stop the House of the Unusual podcast. So you guys got to watch this. Hope that this Cyclotrode X gets stopped. So the serial also stars Linda Sterling and Isaac Stanford Jolly. Also look for Clayton Moore of Lone Ranger fame as the Crimson Ghost's henchman, Ash.
Oh, wow.
Everybody, is familiar with Clayton Moore and used to seeing him in the Lone Ranger, but in this cliffhanger, he is a bad guy, and he's probably one of the baddest on there, man. So, and if you guys are still wondering what the heck is the Crimson Ghost, well, everybody knows the band Misfits, right? And their signature skull on their shirt, their that iconic, image of the the skull with missing teeth. Well, that's from the Crimson Ghost cereal. So I'm sure everybody, you know, if you're not familiar with the cereal, you're probably familiar with the band the Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar with either of them, and you're still like, man, who is the Crimson Ghost? Don't worry, we got you covered here at House of the Unusual. Head over to YouTube, type in the Crimson Ghost serial, and the complete 12-chapter serial will pop up. You can watch it for free. The quality is really so. It's okay, but if you're like me and want to see it in, you know, pristine condition, you could find the 12-chapter serial at serialsquadron.com. They have a Blu-ray on there. It's digitally remastered. I ordered a copy of it at the beginning of the year, and it is absolutely fantastic. The sound, the picture quality is phenomenal. Those guys over there, their team does a great job restoring all these old serials, and that's all they do. They restore serials. So that's their bread and butter. So that's our movie for the week is The Crimson Ghost, a 1946 12-chapter serial. So once you watch it, head over to houseoftheunusual.com. Under the form, you'll see Crypt of Classics pinned to the top. Go over there, discuss it. Let us know what you think of the serial. And if you have any questions about it, or if you just want to talk about it, because it's a very iconic serial cliffhanger, the image of the Crimson Ghost and some of the sequences, definitely watch them in the dark because it adds to the spookiness. So we are going to exit the Crypt of Classics now and head back up into House of the Unusual proper and see what's going on with our brother Chuck Caputo. Chuck, what's going on, brother?
All right. Hey, that was a lot of fun. I will definitely check that out, man.
Oh, I'm telling you, it is a phenomenal serial. Phenomenal.
But we just finished up the live podcast on YouTube. It was pretty cool. I got to demonstrate the product line, which, you know what, it's they're fantastic effects, and they're very easy to do all the tricks, and yet they're professional. And Eddie did a great job on packaging, so I'm glad we had a chance to do that. The other thing I wanted to mention is this rain. I mean, I don't know what you guys are getting in Ohio and New Jersey, but Pittsburgh has been crazy. There's trees down. I mean, I'm zigzagging on the roads. I mean, it's just a total mess out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Chuck, you mentioned the video cast. Where can people find that out there? Because I know everyone's itching to watch, and they're going, you know, Chuck, where can we watch it at? So
yeah, you know what? If you go on the House of the Unusual's home, it's on there. It's on Facebook, House of the Unusual, or you could go on YouTube and search Chuck Caputo Secrets Exposed, I believe is the name of it. And I tell you what, it's about 43 minutes long. I demonstrate a lot of the inverti magic, which he was a fantastic inventor from the Netherlands. You know, there's a lot of neat effects. So I actually demonstrate quite a few things on there, and I also show the tricks we came up with. And you know what? Those tricks are, you know, the principles on these things are so old that they're new, because throughout the years I've read a lot of books and so forth. So I kind of came up with a lot of things that are, you know, that are pretty unusual, not really seen, you know, by today's audiences, and yet there's a spooky element to it. There's a horror magic theme to it. So I think everybody will enjoy the magic effects.
Awesome. Now, I remember, you know, checking out a few of those effects when we were doing the interviews, and those are really cool, man.
Well,
They are
thank you.
really cool to watch. If nobody out there knows what we're talking about, or you haven't followed, you know, Chuck in the past, definitely check it out, because you will be amazed at them. Like you said, you know, they're so old that they're new. There's some stuff that people haven't seen in what, Chuck, decades probably, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, decades. Yes.
You know, and a huge thanks to our maestro of mail order mysteries, Eddie Guevara, for putting that together. Because I tell you what, Chuck, I think it was last week I was talking with Eddie, and he's working on everything, and you know, he's telling me how tired he is, and he's still talking, but I could swear that he was talking and sleeping at the same time, man. He does it all, man. So, you know, hey, big round of applause for Eddie, man.
You better believe it.
I tell you what, he works his butt off. So we're going to turn it over to him, and we're going to hear his 2 cents about everything. So what's up, Eddie?
Thanks a lot, Joe. That's a good one.
I'm telling you, man, you put some work into it, brother.
Yes,
Well,
he
thank you
does.
very much, man. I'll tell you what, man. I couldn't do anything without you guys. That's for sure. Well, as we're speaking right now, obviously the podcast just finished airing about 20, 30 minutes ago or so. And when I'm saying podcast, I'm saying the live cast, the interview with Chuck and everything we did there with the Inverti magic that he showed. And also, we're going to start rolling out beginning sometime later tonight. So tomorrow afternoon it should start popping up anywhere in the on YouTube that there will be a link for each of those magic tricks. And I'm rolling them out as we speak. It should be finished sometime tonight with most of them. It's a total of 8 tricks that we're going to be rolling out. Of those 8 tricks, there's 2 that are deluxe, and those are more like, for the more professional magician. And then all those that are professional and beginners will get the other line of tricks. So there's 2 lines of magic. There's the deluxe horror line, and then there's the regular horror line, which is the one that Chuck makes the most from. Now, or he makes the most tricks from. The overall, like I said, it's going to be rolled out in the next day or 2. All of them they're already uploaded on YouTube. I have to make it live, but I have to make sure all the links are working as they go live so that people can make purchases. The other thing I want to bring to the table is up here, we've had so much rain tonight that there was a guy that he came on when you say Craigslist. He came on and he's offering free kayak lessons for anybody in town. I mean, it's the type of water that's coming down tonight is insane. I came over from my daughter's house and I was driving down here. Man, I had to stop in the supermarket and stuff. And if you can hear my voice, I've gotten soaked. I've taken 3 showers out. And my shoes.
You're getting all that from us because it rained here in Northeast Ohio for about 2 days straight. And I know it moved over to Chuck's area and the Pittsburgh, PA area. So now you're getting it, Eddie.
Oh, wow. Look at this. So you guys are thanking me one time and you're sending me a monsoon afterwards. Wow.
That's right. No better friends.
But overall, everything. I'm very excited about the whole line of magic tricks that's coming up. I had a little bit of tough time tonight trying to print out one of the instructions there. And when Chuck had called me earlier, I was like, Chuck, it's a simple thing, man. I'm getting tired of MacBooks. But anyway, I finally got it to work. I'm putting everything together. It's going to work. It's a fabulous thing, and it's growing. Pretty soon, we're also going to be in the next couple of the end of October. We're going to be not the end of October, the mid of October. We're also going to introduce another line on the Dave Harvest hat, which is going to be the Acme House novelty line. That's where people can purchase the whoopee cushions, joy buzzers, the famous novelties from the 60s and 70s that we grew up with. The entire magic line is going to be under Chuck Caputo Magic because Chuck is the best and we're creating that whole line. But again, House of the Unusual is going to have a lot of different arms, my friend, because we are a lot of people together here. The other thing I want to say is our friend Todd has been, going through some checkups and stuff. And we want to say we love you, Todd. We always keep you in our prayers. And Todd, I hope you're listening to this. My friend, keep strong. Everything's great. And as we go forward, we'll have him probably in the next couple of weeks in one of our podcasts. And I also want to say a shout out to a couple of friends who now they've made it a priority to hear our podcast every single week. One of my friends is a pharmacist in the hospital where he works, and they actually listen to the podcast in the pharmacy area each Thursday morning, I believe. And so I want to say to Jim, I want to shout out to Jim, a shout out to our friend Charlie, who also works in the hospital. And then we have Mikey T. Mikey T is a good friend of us who works with us or used to work with us in the hospital. I no longer work there, so I'm saying used to with me. But the basic thing is that he used to sell a lot of shrunken heads. He was an expert shrunken head seller in the Meadowlands flea market. If you wanted a head from Mexico, anywhere, Barbados, the Falkland Islands, he got you a shrunken head for any time you wanted. And he's probably going to laugh at me saying that. But anyway, the other thing is that through the person who told me the story of that when we had the urban legends in one of the podcasts in the past, one of the famous urban legends was about it in Pennsylvania where my friend had his family owned a ranch. And I told the story of the guy in the brown derby hat, which some people had seen. Apparently, I was brought up with some more information about it. Not only was the guy with the brown derby hat popular in the vicinity, but there was also a photograph of him that somebody, my friend described that when he was little, he remembers the photograph of the legendary person, and he said he looked like Wolverine. You know, he had that big sideburns and all that stuff. He said it actually looked like if he was the Wolfman from the time. So he's trying to get a hold, because unfortunately that photograph burned out, but I think in his family archives there's another one. He's trying to donate that along with the brown derby hat, so the House of the Unusual can take ownership of it and display it in our, in our future display center we have, or whatever we have museum that we open.
We'll put it right in the foyer of the House of the Unusual. So when people walk
we'll put it right there, man, and it'll be a floating brown derby hat. That'll be perfect. And I'm sure Chuck will allow the magic trick to happen. He'll do it.
Absolutely.
So anyway, other than that, guys, like I said, I wanted to give a shout out to those people.
And I'm just real quick before I forget. You mentioned about people listening to us, and I think the last time me and you talked, when you looked up the analytics, we're over about 5,000 people weekly tuning in to us.
With all the analytics from all the places, including iTunes, it's approximately 5,000 to 6,000 people a week right now.
All right, great.
That's awesome. We want to definitely thank everyone that's tuning in. And I think the last time, Eddie, me and you talked, I let you know about on iTunes, we're up to 27 5-star ratings now. So, I mean, that's phenomenal. So thank you to everyone out there who gave us a rating. And if you're still enjoying our podcast and you haven't given us a rating, jump on your favorite platform and, give us that top rating, 5-star rating or whatnot, because that helps us out, with all the analytics and everything. I don't know too much on how that works, but I know, the more ratings we get, the more that, we'll be put out there, when people go to search, different podcasts and all that. So it helps us out. And, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in and giving us a great rating, because we're just doing something we love. I don't think, we ever thought it would get, I think when we started out, we only had a handful of people tuning into us, but, we were doing our thing, having a good time, good conversations. And now, we're up to 5,000-6,000 people. The world.
Chuck, can you do some magic for that, my friend? Just make them appear.
Yeah, that would be great.
One thing I also want to bring up to you, Joe, you mentioned the Crimson Cult, and one of the things that came to my mind immediately is Karloff. And I know that he was not part of the show, but a lot of people might have believed that he was the Crimson Cult, and I'll tell you why. Anybody growing up in the 1970s that saw the Moon Monster ad, when you send away for the 6-foot Moon Monster out of Union City, New Jersey, one thing happened. It was supposed to be a monthly newsletter that was going to be sent to you each month. So basically you became a member for $1 for the Monster Fan Club, and you would get this newsletter. Well, the newsletter is about the Crimson Cult, the new upcoming, series. And then it has it's like a big giant picture of Boris Karloff with the eyes behind him, like a bunch of eyes and stuff. I know he had nothing to do with the serial, but a lot of people who see that associate him with the Crimson Cult. Ironically,
he definitely the Crimson Ghost. He definitely was not. He definitely was not in the serial. If anybody out there is wondering,
well, Joe,
the Ghost, yeah.
Joe, there's the Crimson Cult.
What was the Crimson Cult?
I think the Crimson Cult, I might see something. We just opened a can of worms.
Uh-oh.
I think the Crimson Cult might be the one with Boris Karloff in it.
Was that from 1968?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. He was in the Crimson Cult. Yeah, in 1968.
Okay, so that's where you see. I would have thrown a lot of people out there into a frenzy, and they would have said, "What is Eddie talking about?" I have people that are upset at our friend Doctor when he said that the creature from the Black Lagoon was kind of like a so-so movie, and they're like, well, is he crazy?
But yeah,
So
Crimson
he,
Cult. Yeah, Boris Karloff was in that. Christopher Lee and the beautiful Barbara Steele was in it.
okay, well that's where the Crimson Ghost and the Crimson Cult. The
Yeah,
Crimson Cult is the one I was thinking about when I was mentioning that story, because that's where the newsletter is based on. Is the Crimson Cult.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Let's not. Yeah. Well, hopefully people don't get them confused and they're saying, "Wow, the Crimson Cult," and they're looking it up on YouTube. No. Yeah, the Crimson Ghost. Our movie of the week's the Crimson. But you know what? The Crimson Cult. I tell you what, I haven't seen that one in years. So maybe one of these weeks we'll touch up on that one and make that the movie of
Yeah,
the week.
that would be cool. Hey,
Well,
I
and one
checked
thing
out.
I want. No, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
One thing I want also is Joe. I know when you were talking about it a few weeks ago, one thing that I wanted to let you know is that we now have, due to Chuck's instructional videos, I actually rent space on a company that allows me to upload all the instructional videos, and they will be coded. So anybody who buys a certain trick can actually download and watch those videos. I'm not going to be having the instructional videos on YouTube. Only the demo videos are going to
Right,
be
right.
on YouTube. So that channel will allow Crypt of Classic to upload the movies that you're talking about, and people can tune into that channel and be able to see it directly on the House of the
Oh,
Unusual webpage.
that
So
would be
that was a
cool.
little surprise. Yeah, that was a little
Wow,
surprise. I was working on you, Joe. So that'll happen soon.
cool. Wow, that sounds good. Hey, I checked out a couple movies. You know what? They're pretty much classics. The last couple days, I watched the Carnival of Souls,
Oh, I
and
love that
I
movie.
mean that's a fantastic movie. I saw that many years ago, and I tell you, it brings back memories. That's a really really cool movie. And I watched The Bucket of Blood. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I love Bucket of Blood. Yep.
That's really cool. That's a fantastic. You
Yep.
know, they're all beatniks in there, and
Yeah.
the guy was a sculptor, and I think his real name, who played the sculptor, was is it Dan Miller, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's a character actor. He played in a lot of stuff. He just died a couple years ago. I mean, he was like 90, not, but he was in Gremlins. I mean, in a bunch of movies throughout the years.
Dick Miller or
Dick
Richard Miller.
Miller,
Yeah, he
that's
died
it.
2019. Yeah, he was. Oh, I loved him in Gremlins, man. He played.
Oh,
Oh, wasn't he like a mechanic or something in that?
yeah, yeah. You know what? He always played down to earth people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And he was just a cool character actor, man. I seen him in a ton of movies throughout the '60s and the '70s.
Now, Chuck, I have to ask you since now here you go. Open up a can of worms, like. All right, since you saw Carnival of Souls, what is your because there's everybody has their own take on what's going on uh with the main character. So what is your opinion on the whole storyline? Because some people say that her story takes place in like the second, in between life and death, or that she,
hmm
you know, it's taking place after death. Everybody's got their own little takes on it.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think
tell
about
you,
it?
that's a tough one, man. I don't know. Thinking, like exactly what they were trying to convey. And I tell you what, if you go one way, then it takes a turn the other way. I'm not really sure myself, but I tell you what, there was and she's still alive too. I'm trying to think of her name.
Candace Hildegross.
Yep, yep. She's in her maybe late 80s or somewhere around there, and yeah, she's still alive. Because you know what, I always check up to see who's alive for some reason. I don't know why, but that's fine. But
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same way, and I'm always astonished to see how young a lot of these classic actors and actresses die.
oh yeah, in that bucket of blood, Bert Convy was in there. He was the detective that went to he wanted to put the cuffs on the sculptor, remember? And then the sculptor guy killed him, and he put the clay over top of him, and that was one of his creations. That was a pretty wild. That was
Oh yeah. And I tell you what, that's one I have to really revisit because it's been a while since I've seen that. But I have that on a DVD collection, and um, I think I bought it maybe about 15 years ago. That might have been the last time I seen it, and
yeah, it's
watched the
fantastic.
whole collection through, and it was on there. Yeah, definitely a cool movie. But Carnival of Souls is one of my I mean, it's such a B movie, but it's definitely one of my favorites. It's up there.
Oh,
You know,
it's fantastic.
Joe, at
What's
your
up?
advice many years ago, I my wife gave me for Christmas a DVD player that was 7 inches. So one of the things I did is I went out at that moment. I think I wasn't sure if it was FYI Video or something was going out of business. I forgot what it was, and they were selling this box sets of horror films that you will have like a 100 DVDs or
Oh yeah, yeah.
for the difference. So I made it a point each and every night. What I would do is when my wife went to bed and I went to bed, I would take my pillow, prop it up just a little bit, and I would put it top of my chest. I put the DVD player in the middle of the dark with the DVD. Now, here's the thing: when you do that, since you're watching it 10 inches away from your face, it looks like you're watching a giant screen.
It does.
So,
Yeah.
so I started watching, and I was, oh my God, it was so cool because first of all, that I realized is the women that played in those films were so feminine. It was that amazed me as how beautiful a lot of them were. The second part, especially with that I got shocked about, is how good some of those films were, even though that they were done like with probably shoestring budgets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
One of them is called, if you guys got called The Amazing Mr. X or The Incredible Mr. X. It was based on some alien form comes and inhabits a human. And I mean, the film is very cheaply done, but the whole account behind it, and it was a great film. And one of the ones also that I liked was the man with the X-ray eyes.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was
Great one too.
that was a really good film. In fact, it reminded me of the backdrop for I Dream of Jeannie because it kind of looks like when they walk around, it kind of looks like one of the I Dream of Jeannie episodes.
But you know what,
But
that's a perfect example of how you don't need all these special effects or millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to make a good movie. As long as you have a good story, people
it's
will
true.
will like. I mean, look at Carnival. Since we're talking about a Carnival of Souls, I mean, there's no special effects in there. The zombie, people, they're pretty much that's very simple, makeup effects, and
Right.
there's nothing to it.
you,
But the story is fascinating because at the end of the movie, it's a story that you could keep talking about and you could keep
well,
analyzing and talking with your friends about it, and everyone's going to have a different opinion.
well, Joe, let me tell you something. There's two films too that if you guys were to watch it, I know you would like. One is Curse of the Demon. Now there's two parts to that. It's very cheesily done because you could see that the demon, they didn't use the best effects for it. But the Curse of the Demon, in fact, the famous Monsters of Filmland book cover that has the face of the demon on it, and there's also another classical book. I forgot the name of it right now. They go for over $150 each one just because of the cover. Now, which is kind of funny though, because I remember going to a flea market one day, and I wanted the magazine, and the guy was asking $5, and I wanted him to give it to me for $4, and he said the back cover was ripped off. Well, within seconds, the guy sold it for the $5. I was cheap about it, and I wound up having to pay $130 for the same magazine a couple of years later because I wanted it. Okay,
I tell you what, that's a creepy movie, Curse of the
it
Demon,
is.
or Night of the Demon. However you find it, 'cause it's a British movie, so it's got the two titles, American and U.S. But especially the ending when they're on the train tracks with the demon comes. I don't want to spoil it for people out there that might not have
Well,
seen it. But it's a damn
Joe,
scary movie.
it is. But Joe, I'm almost positive. I think Night of the Demon is part two of Curse of the Demon.
No, there
There's
was
two.
only one. There was only one. Night of the Demon was the UK title. Curse of the Demon was the United States title.
Are
Okay.
you sure? Because I'm almost
Yeah,
positive I
positive.
have both in DVD.
No, yeah, no, I'm positive that it's because a lot of times with those classics I don't even know. I don't know if it's still like that with movies, but if it was done overseas or even here and then went overseas, they had different titles for. I don't know if it was because of the censors or just to change
Right.
it up, but Night of the Demons was the original UK release title. Curse of the Demon was the United States title.
Okay.
Maybe
and the United States, and the best, if anyone out there is wanting to watch it, make sure you find the United Kingdom version, because there's about almost 15 more minutes on it when they took it to United States, because of the way our censorship worked in the 50s. They did cut some stuff out of there, but try to find the UK version. It's about 95 minutes.
Cool.
Well, Joe, I want to thank you for being more subtle with me, because I know the last time that Dr. Saab said something to Todd just about the sea monkey. So I think it was describing one of the jokes that could be harmful for sea monkeys. I haven't heard of Dr. Saab since. So I'm not sure if, maybe the guillotine might have been in Todd's domain. I don't know.
He's in Todd's underwater sea monkey dungeon right now.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Waiting
so
to
be very careful. But here's the other thing I was going to tell you. Another movie, Joe, that I know because you're the expert on these films. From Hell It Came. That's a good film.
I'll have to check that out.
How about you, Joe?
I'm trying to think what From Hell It Came.
Based on a tree. The tree was called the Tawabunga or the Cowabunga.
Yeah, that's right. The Tobanga or something.
Tobanga,
tree.
Right? The Tobanga,
right? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That the tree was walking.
It slowly walked and towards the people where you could easily outrun it.
I'm gonna have to check that. I'm gonna have to check this out. I'm taking notes while I'm listening to you guys.
No, that's a really good film. And in fact, if you see the artwork for the poster From Hell It Came, it's a great poster, man. Wow. I think I have one of the original posters of that film.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, because you got to understand, Joe. Like I said, just because I didn't like horror, especially.
But I tell you what, a lot of those posters, especially from the 50s, are they're tough to find. I mean, even in nice condition. And I believe that From Hell It Came was late 50s, around 57, I believe. And horror posters in general, they're tough to come by, and when you do, they're very expensive. But
they're very expensive.
One of those, Eddie, definitely send it my way. My birthday is coming up in a few weeks, so
Absolutely, Joe. Well, Joe, you got something coming your way that you've been waiting for all your life. I'm not going to spoil it. Well, the empty box could have some contents this time, but you got to keep it like Todd. Remember, remember when we were talking about the non-fungible tokens and the guy who bought the invisible statue? Well, that box had a lot of things in it. It was invisible, man, and you threw it out.
There's an invisible goldfish, invisible poster. It's all
exactly. Now, what I'm going to say though is, with all the film and classics, Joe, which you are an expert on, I got to tell you though, honestly, a lot of the films not only were good, but the artwork and the dedication that they took into promoting the film was phenomenal. You don't see posters that great. Like, for example, The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Right.
It crawls, the crawling hand, The Monkey's Paw. All those films were phenomenal, man. And those posters are so cool. The only problem is a lot of them are French, and they're like 57 by 62, or sorry, 60. What the heck what type of wall are you going to display a poster like that unless you own a warehouse?
I tell you what, Eddie, and Chuck, I a few years ago at Monster Bash, I was able to find it was a hardback book. One was of horror movie posters, classics. I think it was up to maybe like 1969 was maybe the final one, and the same thing with sci-fi, and they were each about 300 pages or so. And I spent hours looking through those at just the artwork and checking out the posters. And like you said, they had the a lot of times they would show the American release poster and the Spanish release poster, the Italian, and the artwork on them. These guys put in. For you're talking about a movie, that they might have spent $30,000 to, on their budget, but the posters worth that alone. They're beautiful. The artwork,
they're gorgeous.
You don't really see that anymore.
No, you don't. Hey
Well,
Joe, you mentioned Poltergeist at the beginning of the podcast. I was always fascinated by that movie, and I'll tell you why. Because you know what, I mean, there was a few of the actors in there that, you know what, like there was even speculation that there was a curse. I mean, the one girl was shot to death, I believe. One of the older daughter, was her name Dominique Dunn or something? I'm not sure, something like that. And the young blonde-haired girl, Carol Ann, she ended up dying at a young age of some type of a medical problem. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, it just went on and on. And Poltergeist 2, the guy who played the older gentleman that was walking through the neighborhood, I mean, he was literally dying of some type of cancer. That's why he was so thin. I mean, his face was downright eerie, man. When I seen that, it was like, oh my goodness, I almost had like nightmares and stuff. But that was a really really cool. I think there's three of them, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, there's three of them, but the really the first one was the best one
That was
and
the best one.
the classic. But yeah, like you said, that Dominique Dunn, she died in a domestic violence, incident. Well, her boyfriend at the time, yeah, shot her, and then
Hmm.
Heather O'Rourke died. I believe it was during the third one. She had some type of illness that she had passed away from. But yeah, there
Yeah,
was a lot of things that went on there, and I think really the only one that went on to have a big career was the Craig T. Nelson,
Craig Nelson.
who
Yeah,
played the father. And I'm sure everyone knows him from. I love that show. What was a Coach?
Coach. Oh, that was great. Oh,
Yeah,
great. Who played the mother on there? That was Joe Beth Williams, if I'm not
Joe
mistaken,
Beth
right?
Williams. Yeah, she played Diane. Yeah,
Okay.
and I tell you what, that I always loved in Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina. She was
Oh,
always fantastic. I loved her, even as a little kid. When I remember seeing this, we would always go around the house and pretend like we're shooing away ghosts, and then go, "This house is clean."
oh, she was fantastic. You know what?
Yeah.
There's a series I liked back when I was dating my wife, back in about 1989, 1990. Tales from the Crypt, and she played on an episode on there, and she was fantastic. I mean, if you look back at Tales from the Crypt series, I mean, there's a lot of people back when they started acting, pretty much like John Stamos was just getting popular. He was on there. I mean, there's like a bunch of people on there. You know what? That's a fantastic series.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was originally on HBO. That
It was
was
on HBO. Yep.
yeah,
yeah.
that was
Yep.
great.
What
I
was
tell you what, I
great
got
about
the
this? No, I was gonna
what
say what was. I don't know if I. Sorry, Joe, if I cut you there.
I was
um,
trying to say something, and I was trying to almost burp, and trying to cover it up at the same time. So
okay, no, because I heard, but you kind of say is what people don't realize. Remember, Joe, Chuck, Tales from the Crypt has the comic book, and Billy orders the stuff from the comic book.
right, right.
That's what I love about that series because it has the mail order theme to it
Oh, it's
and
beautiful.
monsters. But you know what, Joe and Chuck, when it comes to Poltergeist and those films, I really don't like them. Never watched them because I think they're too diabolical for me. Like I'm okay with the horror from the 50s and 40s, and I like as far as like Tales from the Crypt. I love that series. I kind of don't like the movie Poltergeist and stuff. I think they go a little too far with the
I tell
same.
you what, Poltergeist it's still it's a 1982 movie, and when I just submitted an article for Scary Monsters on it a couple months ago, and I was revisiting the movie after I hadn't watched it for maybe 10, 15 years or so, and I was watching it.
Hmm.
And usually if I'm doing research, for a movie, I'll sit there and I'll, with my, you know, pen and paper, and I'll take notes. I'll pause the movie, this and that. I watched the whole damn movie. Didn't take one one note or anything, and I had to go back and watch it. I was like so captivated by it, and it was. I tell you what, it still holds up, man. It is scary as hell.
It's a scary movie, man. It's a scary movie. I tell you, the one movie that scared the crap out of me. I was 9 years old when it came out, and my brother, God rest his soul, he passed away to be going on 2 years. He was 7 years older than me, and he took me into the theater downtown Pittsburgh to see this. It was The Exorcist,
Oh
and
yeah,
I tell you what, I could not sleep for days after. I mean, you do not take a 9-year-old kid to see that.
I tell
I
you what,
mean,
I'm a grown man, and I've been through a lot, and I still, have trouble watching. I still got to watch it with the lights on.
Oh man, that movie scared the heck out of me, man. I couldn't sleep. I'm waking my parents up all the time. They
Okay.
were hollering. They were hollering at me. I had the
What,
lights on. I had all the light. They said, "Turn these lights out. What's wrong with you?" And man, it was something. I mean, it was.
which of you guys this film? It was a film that there was. I think it's called The Entity. Do you guys remember that?
Oh,
And
that sounds familiar. I'm trying to picture it. I don't
That's the
know.
one that there's a female, and apparently there's some type of invisible force that starts making love to her and all this stuff.
I do remember that. I remember it.
And then
Yep.
they actually freeze it in one section. It's like a big giant monster.
Yep.
And she
was
will.
that what Barbara Her? Was Barbara Hershey the main?
I think so.
Okay, I
think
think
so.
I vaguely remember it.
Come on, Joe, you're the expert here. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I think you're right.
I think I vaguely, a lot of the '80s movies, though. I watched them in the '80s, and most of the time, that's the last time I've really, seen them, unless it was the early '90s when I caught them on, when I rented them from a video store. But like Poltergeist, like I said, I probably haven't seen that in 15 plus years, and I've probably seen more movies more times from the 30s and 40s, and even silent movies from the 20s than I have from the 80s recently. And I
Okay.
really got to catch up on my 80s watching TV show.
Well, what about this one? Terror so sudden you don't have time to scream. Silent scream. Remember that one?
Silent Scream.
That's the one that up in the attic they kept some family. I think it was a lady kept one of their that was I think retarded or something. It was up in the attic, and it was called Silent Scream. And every time they advertised it on TV, it said terror so sudden, there's no time to scream.
Wow.
Well, I'm throwing another one. I'm surprised, Joe. Look that one up on your computer. There, you'll see it.
Yeah, I'm
Silence.
looking right now. That's from '79, and you know what? I don't recall ever seeing this one.
Wow, that's amazing. Here's another. What about Squirmel? Do you remember Squirmel that it showed the skull out of the eye sockets?
I don't remember
Does
that.
anybody remember that one?
No, I don't remember that
You
one.
don't. Squirmel was big in the early '70s, and I went to see that one in the theater. And what it was is that worms. It kind of like the Day of the Walking or the Walking Dead. The premises behind it. This thing, I think, that some electrical thing made the worm, and they would eat up bodies, and they will be coming out of everyone. And it was
Well,
called Squirmel.
I will definitely check that out because I'm taking notes right
Oh,
here.
wow. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, I
you
am
guys don't
too.
know.
I'm gonna check out that Silent Scream because I don't.
Yeah, Silent
I've
Scream.
never seen it.
Okay, Silent Scream and Squirmel were big
Okay.
in the '70s. Squirmel, you'll know the face because it shows a skeleton face, and there's like worms coming out of its mouth and eyes, and that's the poster for it. Silent Scream, and in fact, there was another one. My movie of all time that scared me that I don't even like watching it today. That is really, in my opinion, it's not grotesque. It's probably from the early '70s. It's Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and I've said that before. Where you have these creatures that when they see light, they look. They kind of remind me of, if anybody remembers the serial from Superman, the original George Reeves 1950s that we watched growing up in the '70s on television. The original Superman, George Reeves, not Christopher Reeves, not the one that died.
Right.
George Reeves. I mean, George Reeves apparently died too. I'm saying, but the black and white and color versions. There's one particular special that it was like a 2-hour episode that was called The Mole Man, and there was like this little guys that were supposed to be out of space, and they came and they're like bullhead and they're walking together like 2-3 miniature guys, and it's Mole, MOLE. So it was Superman versus the Mole Man. The same characters or similar to those are the characters that appear in Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. But what the premise is behind the movie, the storyline behind the an old Victorian home. They go to the basement, and when the caretaker for the property said, don't ever, there was a chimney in the basement that had a steel plaque, and she wanted to open it up and work the chimney. He goes, don't ever open that. Well, when she opened it, they kept appearing at her, and she was the only one that could see them. And when the lights came on, they couldn't, they were hurt by the light. But the idea is they kept saying to her, "We want you." They wanted her dry. So finally, what they finally did, they tied her by the legs and dragged her body down into the chimney. I'm telling you, that freaking movie,
Oh,
it
wow.
bothers me. I watched it back then, never watched it again. And I don't think it gives me the creeps. I don't like it too much. I wouldn't even watch it today. But that is
Hey,
my.
Chuck. Hey, Chuck,
Yeah,
have you ever seen the movie The Monster Club
I believe so. Yep. Yep.
from 1981? The anthology with who was in it? Vincent Price,
Yep.
John Carradine, and Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasant. That was cool. That was pretty neat.
Yeah,
I,
I
I
just
think I saw that.
did you see that, Eddie?
I think I did. I saw it a long time ago.
You know what? I just watched it about a week ago for the first time. Can't remember which streaming app I was on, and it for some reason popped up on there. I'm like, what the heck is this? I said, I don't remember ever seeing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I do remember that because I was in high school. That was around the time when Porky's came out. When I was in high school, Porky's was popular. Everybody was, hey man, did you see Porky's? Did you see Porky's Revenge? That was back in 1981, somewhere around there,
Yeah,
82.
but I tell you what, that was a fun movie, man. I mean, it wasn't real spooky. I mean, the ending was kind of. I mean, it was a fun movie.
Mhm.
It's not a hardcore
It
horror
was a
movie.
fun movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for the '80s, wasn't really gory or anything, but it was pretty cool, man. At the end, I'm like, man, I want to be part of the Monster Club. Why can't I?
Well,
That
you
was pretty cool.
know, Joe and Chuck, it doesn't matter what it is, but Vincent Price, even though he was a horror fan, I like his movies and stuff because they're never too much horror. It's just about right. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And
Yeah.
Yep.
let's be honest, The House on phenomenal film, one of the
Oh,
best that they ever made, and the Alias Dr. Phibes
I
or
love
something
Dr.
like that.
Five.
Which, by
Oh,
the way, Carol Monroe hugging her in Chiller, she was the Victoria in that movie.
yeah.
And she's always in Chiller Theater, and she's a phenomenal person. I was actually going to ask her when I see her in October if she could be in the podcast because I do have her phone number somewhere, but I think it was in my old phone and it didn't transfer over to my new iPhone.
That would be
And,
cool if you can get her. That would be fan. I love Dr. Fives. Oh,
I tell you what, my favorite Vincent Price movie though was The Mad Magician
yeah.
from
oh,
'54. You ever see that, Eddie?
That was
yeah,
cool.
well, here's the thing about that film, and that's why I went, in Chiller Theater. There's an original poster of that, right? The guy wants $79 poster, right?
How
Now the
much?
poster $79 for the original. It's about a foot wide by maybe 47 inches tall. It's a small type of poster, but it's original. So I go around and here I am again trying to negotiate a lower price. I wanted to pay like 40 or 50, right? When I decide to buy it, I go buy the darn poster, and the guy that just happens to walk in front of me grabs the poster and buys it.
Whoa, wow.
I'm still fuming. But
How
no, if
quickly?
to your question is, that's the only Vincent Price film I haven't watched yet. I need to watch that film.
Really? Considering you like the magic and all that, man, that I seen it a few years at Monster Bash. I was like, and as soon as the movie was over, I said, "Yep, this is it. This is my favorite Vincent Price
Oh,
movie."
it's a fantastic movie. It's a fantastic. You guys had mentioned the monkey's paw. I was always obsessed by that, and that's a short story by W. Jacobs. I mean, it's very very short, but the whole premise behind it, where you get the three wishes, and strangely enough, Eddie's putting together a magic kit that's going to be coming up, and so I actually built, the monkey paws. One will each go into each kit, and there's a shrunken head that I built myself where it floats behind a cloth and stuff. So I mean, there's going to be some really cool stuff in this magic kit coming up. So make sure you guys stay tuned for this.
Something like Joe, what you said, and just like exactly what Chuck's saying, and that's so phenomenal. You see, the genre that I come from, the novelty one from the '70s, when you read it or you read Tales from the Crypt, or you read the House of Ghosts or Mysteries or Dracula's, because there's
Hmm.
a comic book called, I think, the event, I forget, I don't know, something about Dracula. All those comics have a little bit of a horror theme to them, but at the same time they sell, like Honor House, Johnson Smith, and those things. They all sold magic and sold novelties,
Right.
unusual things. So my love doesn't really gear to any particular segment of it. I just love it all in general. Like
Yeah,
I could be as excited to get how to build your own laser gun pistol plans as I would the levitating chair. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Uh, but
but
I
you know what? I don't
gravitate
think
more to the horror. I'm sorry, Joe.
I
Go
don't.
ahead.
Yeah, like you, I don't think I would have, started being interested in magic at all if it probably wasn't for, you and Chuck and introducing me to horror magic. I'm like, man, that's, really cool.
Yeah.
That's, because, my passion's always been, horror and comic books and stuff. So,
Yeah, it goes hand in hand because you know what? I like to scare people with magic and I like to tell stories. So it's like it fits perfect, man. It really does.
It does. It does. And the thing with magic and stuff, like I said, I don't gravitate directly. Like I love more than the other. But the thing is that, for example, I can see myself coming across a haunted house magic trick, and then all of a sudden find myself for the next 2 months buying anything that's haunted magic. I've done that. I can see, let's say getting in joy buzzer that's unlike anything like shocks, and then finding myself buying joy buzzers for the next week or two. My love for the era of the 70s
Oh,
growing up,
that's
the
cool.
genre is anything, and it always goes simultaneously one with the other. Well, can't say the word now.
Right.
It's the fact that magic, there's no mail order comic book ad that doesn't have a magic trick and a novelty trick at the same time.
You're
Honor
right.
House ads, it would have magic playing cards. They have Chest of Steel, how to become strong by the whatever. They have karate courses,
Hmm.
life-size monsters.
Hmm.
So it's just in general,
come
I
on, Eddie. We're
gravitate
all
to
waiting
the
for you to say it.
monster.
We're all waiting for you to
I'm
say
not
it.
gonna say the robot plans, but now that you brought it, say it.
Take a drink. Yeah.
And guys, if anybody out there is listening, did order the Melton Company Monster Go or the 7 foot robot plants,
Take a
I'm
drink.
looking for them. Help me out.
Somebody has to have them. Somebody has to have them.
The
They'll
only one I
eventually
know that
pop up.
has it is a bubblehead. And he
Hey,
won't show
one
them
more
to me.
one more movie, guys, is one of my favorites. You know what? I've always been a fan of Charlton Heston, Omega Man. Do you guys
Oh
remember that?
yeah. Yep.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that is so cool. I mean, like the whole basis behind it. You know what I mean? He's like one of the very few people alive. And what you mentioned, Eddie, is about the mole people. Well, there was an atomic blast, I think, and these people can't come out during the day because their eyes are sensitive. And Victor Victor Bruno acted in her, I believe. He was one of the people in charge of the underground people. If I'm not mistaken, I might be mixed up with.
You're right, but Omega Man and the Last Man on Earth with
Mhm.
Vincent Price
Hey,
are very similar.
Very
hey guys,
similar.
I don't mean to step in here, but we are down to a little over 2 minutes, so we're gonna have to wrap it up here.
Wow, that went quick.
Yeah, that was I tell you what, man, that was one of our quicker conversations. I was just looking down at the timer. I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, we're getting down to the bottom of the hour. Time flies when you're having fun. So, we're gonna have to wrap it up here. So, Chuck, Eddie, thanks for joining us once again. This was a great conversation, and
Yes,
tis the season of Halloween and all that. So I'm sure we'll be having more spooky conversations as
absolutely.
the weeks go on. And we definitely, from myself, and I'm sure Eddie and Chuck are the same. We want to thank all of our listeners out there from the
Yes,
bottom of our hearts, man.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, because we couldn't do this without the support of everyone out there. Because what's the use of talking on here if nobody's listening? But
Oh,
apparently, people want to hear our voices and what we have to say, and we want to hear what you guys have to say too. So if you want to be a guest on our show and you just want to chat with us, get a hold of Eddie or myself on the forum or on the webpage House of the Unusual. Get a hold of one of us and come join us for a conversation, because we're just a couple of fans that are we're just sitting around just talking about things that we love. So you don't have to be an expert or a lifelong collector or anything like that. You just have to have something that you love and that you want to talk about, and you're more than welcome to come and join us. So get a hold of us. And at the beginning of the show we talked about all of our friends and our supporters and all that. Definitely take a look at them and support them, because it's all about family and community with us. So that's all I got. So Eddie, Chuck, thank you again for joining us and for a phenomenal conversation.
All right.
So until next time, we'll see you guys next week.
Okay, thanks guys.
All right,
Have a good night. God bless.
Good night and
All right,
God
good
bless.
night.
Take care. Bye-bye.